Hello everyone and welcome to NetMercur. Tonight, Check the Box is joining me and we're going to talk about what Netrunner is as a game and where and how does it appeal to us and what makes it fun to play. And we're also going to be playing some Prepaid Kate and Prepaid Kate versus CTM and Kate Desperado versus ETF. Thanks for joining me, Check the Box.
Hi, Maxwell. Happy to be here. I'm Check the Box, otherwise known as Matt, otherwise known as that Seattle player with the weird accent.
Nice. We were just getting the conversation started with, you know, talking about how the terms of Netrunner and the theme of Netrunner really help draw people into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think, you posed the question to me a couple of days ago, what do I really enjoy about Netrunner? And I think you were coming at it from the angle of what in the gameplay do I really like? But, I went straight to the nomenclature, if you like, these kind of weird expressions that grow up around the game, and we all instantly understand the idea of food coats or prepaid Kate, or that Temmie J for Temujin contract.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we all kind of immediately understand if we've been around the game for a while. And I think that's really appealing to me, just when we're kind of thinking about how the game functions outside of the actual gameplay. This community that has its own kind of secret language.
Yeah.
That's something I find really appealing, and in some ways it's necessary, right? Because this game is like super complex when you get down to it. There's a lot of levers to push. There's a lot of things to think about, both in game and in the wider meta game. So, some of these shorthand terms are very necessary. But I'm kind of fascinated by the way they evolve.
The deck names too can be really unique. For a while there, we had multiple different shop decks, both on the corp side and on the runner side. There was like the food coats shop and noise shop decks and other, shaper shop decks, and then also butcher shop.
Right.
And
And
that,
I'm not entirely sure because, honestly, I played for a while in a kind of a kitchen table meta, but, I only really started playing more widely and more seriously around the Sansan cycle. So, I'm probably not the best historian on, what came first in the shop decks. Was it butcher shop or noise shop or whatever else? But yeah, you're right. It's really interesting. It's kind of like everything is a play on words on something previously, and it's just yeah, I just love it. It's like layers and layers of history over just such a short amount of time.
you could definitely see a lot of that, meta commentary with our good friend Potaboy's glass shop deck, which was very, very destructive up in here in the Seattle meta.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was I think jumped on by a lot of the community as
Oh, I certainly played that deck. I was so
yeah.
excited to play that deck in a tournament. I didn't do super hot with it, but it was fun to play.
Yeah, I didn't just mean the deck as well. I think the kind of memeage of it caught fire as well. That
It
was
did.
then used to the next iteration of deck names. But yeah, it was an incredible deck. I did enjoy him just completely ripping apart the fallacy of MWL1 as in any way doing anything.
On the other side of the game, on the other side of the flavor, there's the flavor, and then there's also the other side, the number side, and there's a lot going on there.
There is, and personally, I'm not such a huge numbers guy, and I think that's maybe, well, odd since I'm an accountant, but, it's probably slightly to a detriment as me as a player, but I always just like to do things a bit more by feel, and if I get it wrong, I'll just keep banging my head against the wall until I figure out something that works,
Hmm.
but you're right, there's a huge amount of yeah, so there's a lot of math involved, and I have a huge amount of respect for the players that can just look at a card and go, "No, the numbers don't stack up. That's terrible."
Yeah,
Um,
I can't. I certainly
that's
can't
that's
do
that's a
it
skill
off the
right there.
cuff. It's interesting the way all of the different variables have been tweaked to give you this environment where you can make such complicated decisions and how those decisions can, you can fight on multiple different fronts because of the way agendas come out of the deck and the corp or the runner go poor to get those things, but then other effects may punish someone if they score or if they don't score enough. That that conflict and all of the layers that have been built into the game, I think, is where a lot. That's something that brings me back to the game, and I think that's why I've stuck with the game for as long as I have.
Right, and I think to that point, I always get a little bit, even though it's the best way to practice and the best way to get a lot of games in quickly, like I always get a little bit jaded after I've just done, a huge amount of JNet and nothing else, because I think you do lose quite a lot of that part that you were discussing when you don't play in person. Like, there are a lot of visual cues you pick up from your opponent when
Yeah.
you're sat opposite them
Oh, that's
that you
totally
don't
true.
get on JNet. So I think, like most other people, I much prefer playing in person, and that's a huge part of the appeal. That there's a kind of poker element to it. I mean, I don't want to
I mean, you
overplay
have
that.
to stay calm. If you get anxious, if you get nervous, people will be like, okay, there's agendas here, and I'm gonna go for it.
Right, it's time to legwork.
Yeah. Well, let's get started with this game. I am gonna keep my hand.
I think I am as well. So let's.
What are you expecting out of this matchup? And what
I,
would a typical matchup here look like for you?
I think this. I'm still expecting this to be tough. So in the era of Sensi, and maybe you are still playing Sensi, a turn one Sensi here would be terrible. So like in previous iterations, this opening hand that you've just played would be disastrous because there's no way that Kate and certainly not prepaid Kate could contest a turn one Sensi.
Well, I
But
mean, if you were able to you could get a nuts draw and get a prepaid and get two economy cards like a sure gamble and then a dirty laundry, and I think you could be in a good spot there.
right, and let's see if we're doing okay here as we get the lucky find into the dirty laundry, and let's see what you've put down.
That link is certainly going to help.
Yeah. Whew. And I think that has to die.
I think you're right. I think from my side of the board, it's
So I will
not
finish with more than 8 credits. So let's see.
it's not entirely clear to me if you have to run.
Right. I think I could have left that. I think I could have checked it next turn, but it just so happened that because I
It,
had the diesel, the lucky find, and the dirty laundry, it just worked out nicely.
I'm going to go ahead and draw a few cards and then play this sure gamble, and that feels honestly on my side it feels like I'm kind of getting off to a slow start.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just kind of the new norm, right? Okay.
Jackson Howard, one of the most hard-working cards in the game.
That's interesting that you preemptively got rid of the Jackson, even though
Yeah,
playing.
that's actually
I'm
probably
highly
just a
unlikely to
habit.
play
Habit.
the
That
milk.
that may
Yeah.
just be a bad habit. I think you're absolutely right.
Okay. Some interesting choices I have here. I also feel like I've got off to somewhat of a slow start, having had those two econ cards at the start. I'm kind of not now but the same. I'm going to take a chance here and ditch the film critic.
Okay. So I've got a simple turn, sweeps week for maximum benefit or most typical benefit,
Right,
and then two installs, new remote with
right.
some ice.
So I guess I'm asking myself, is this an agenda? Is this a Sansan? Is this an MVT, which would wreck me at this point? I'm going to draw, certainly. We'll see what we have. That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to draw again. All right.
Deuce is wild.
It's a pretty good card, I would say, in prepaid in general. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Gain 3 credits.
It's a card that really shows the power of the influence system.
I would agree with you 100%. We ditch some stuff.
It also just shows how rare expose is. There aren't very many cards that expose, but all of the cards that do expose tend to be have a range of other effects as well.
Yeah.
So I score a B on my turn. Not the most exciting thing. I
Right.
still have
I
a
was
fair
about to
bit of
ask
money.
you how you feel about that.
The way I feel, it's pushing me towards the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's points for me. It doesn't really cost me much. I don't really have much else to do.
It's fair.
Another aspect of it is at some point you're going to start remote locking me, and I want to avoid that for as long as possible.
Yeah, I don't think you can wait around in this matchup too much from your point of view. Where are we?
Symmetrical Visage, such a special card. In Shaper, you got to wonder what would the cost of making it be Proco be, right? 3 credits, kinda.
Yeah, I think this matchup, and I don't know how prevalent this matchup is gonna be. I mean, actually, how prevalent either side would be in any sort of competitive meta now. But I feel like CTM is one of the big worries, right? Like if you install a Proco for 5 credits, the danger of losing it at some point is
It's a good
relatively
point.
high.
It's a very good point. Especially if you don't have something like Aaron backing you up.
Right. Yeah.
So you've built quite a formidable board. You can get resources really effectively. The prepaid is obviously going to reap a lot of rewards, and then you've got some choices with the clone chip and the SMC.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'm feeling most good about right now against your particular deck is that like I have the Astro laid down relatively early, and feel like you're probably gonna have to create some new remotes at some point. Although, obviously you've just jammed again, so we'll start by drawing. And as things stand, I'm not feeling that inclined to have to go right now, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think that you can play Shaper as a really aggressive faction. Kate less so than others. I'm gonna res this. But you can also kind of get yourself into this cycle of just drawing a lot of stuff and installing a lot of stuff, and you see, say, Congress really take advantage of that.
Right. See, I see this daily business show as a bit of a problem for me because, 4 to trash when you're not Wizard,
Yeah.
and there's a proposition of a hard-hitting news, and you've got to fight the Trace. That's a lot.
It is. It also is essentially, say, a quarter of a DBS that I had to pay 2 for.
Yep. but we're gonna go at it.
Going at the DBS. So this obviously is a important choice for me. Well, you don't really know that necessarily. I got a little bit of value out of it. Got a lot of your credits out of it.
Right, exactly. But given my main vector for victory is attacking R&D, I don't want a DBS running for too long.
Your vector for victory? I don't know where it's What do you think yourself?
Overheating.
Huh?
Overheating.
I think I'm just gonna do something like this.
Hello, Maxwell.
Hello.
How are
Surprise. I'm doing good. I think I'm gonna go after a Visage there. Slow your resources down.
Okay, that's fair.
There's some chatter in the chat about how this is just the worst matchup for Kate.
It's pretty bad. I think it is pretty bad. I'm not in particularly.
Do you think it's bad for all the versions of Kate? Do you think it's going to be? It would theoretically be this bad for, say, a Desperado style of Kate?
I don't know. I haven't run anything like that, and I guess it's only really been viable since the MWL's changed again. I think it would be slightly less bad for the Congress, like giant dad Kate or whatever. I think that would be slightly less bad. You're running more Link.
Yeah.
The idea is if you get set up, you're going to have a ton of money. So I think the late game in that matchup favors Kate much more than it does in this matchup. Yeah, I would agree with whomever's saying in chat that this is just not a great situation for Kate at all. Draw again and get my bet. Let's do this. Yeah, because if you think about what this deck is bad at, it doesn't want to have to run every turn, right? So
Yeah.
just slam things in remotes and I have to check them. That's pretty bad. Doubly so with hard-hitting news. So, yeah, that's absolutely the correct assessment.
Do you think it's enough to drive Kate totally out of the meta?
I think this version is probably not viable in, a competitive tournament. I would say, yeah, I have no intention of taking this to regionals. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
Maybe the other version. I don't know. I particularly dislike playing against the other version.
The Congress style.
Congress style, but I don't think it's that good either. So.
Oh boy.
We double iced a remote, so
Yeah.
got to
That's
go
true.
at some point. Fun. So if I install Ant-Man 4, I'm gonna be in all sorts of trouble. But if I jack out, that's also not particularly great for me. But I think I might because I have you down to 3 credits. So
That's true. Did you think about just trying to fight the trace?
Yeah, I mean that is also an option. I mean you're right, but I'm assuming you have more of them. But yeah, fighting the trace is certainly an option. I still would have just been pretty poor if I've got to clear the tag. You're hard hitting news me, so I'm pretty satisfied with having you down to 3 credits.
Sure, sure. I'm certainly thankful that I've got, unresed ice floating out here to counter the astrolabe.
Yeah, and that's smart on your part.
But you're starting to get up to the point where you may just have money forever.
Maybe. I'm not so confident of that right now.
I think I'll res this. And
Yeah,
mostly because I theoretically get double the value out of it.
I think that's the right call. This is not a pleasant piece of ice for me to deal with at all.
Well, it only does so much damage.
That is true. And this is the same whether I boost or try and fight the trace, so let's see what's up.
I mean, if you've got a mad dash here, and then all of a sudden get up to say 3 points, and have this imposing board, and I've got 1 credit, the game looks a lot different than it did at the start.
Right. I completely agree with that.
And I'd rather have that happen and have you have say around 10 credits than not tax you at all.
You can't rest that right now, so not. Get you through the indexing lock quicker, which may or may not be good based on the fact that I didn't run back in. Alright, let's see what you got. See, that's annoying. So an interesting dilemma here is, do I install the admin 4? Because I know you have IP blocks as well, which is strength 4. But then obviously that's just inviting the tag every time I run through the IP block, which feels bad. So I'm just going to say tag trace here. See what you want to do. Well, that feels okay. It's not exactly what I wanted to see there, Maxwell. And so before.
Sorry. Totally sorry.
I
That
I
was
wonder why
all
it went
on
very
me.
quiet. Like I 100% can hear you.
That was 100% my fault. I turned my microphone off.
Got it. Got it. Well, I feel we're at an interesting point in the game here. You've got a commercial bankers union that has to go.
Right.
We're at effectively game point.
Kinda, yeah. Well, I mean, I've taken you down to 3 agenda points,
Yeah, and you're up to 5.
which isn't the best feeling out of exchange of information, but
No, but
given the relevant options, it seemed like getting you off of game point was the most important thing.
right.
Okay, so you go after the bankers with, or yeah, well, you go after the bankers with dirty laundry. Hmm. I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna install and just gain another credit.
Seems smart. Making me run through that server seems like the thing to do.
Jesus Wild certainly helps.
Yeah, I think it's okay in this situation.
I think that I might have used it to make the run.
Yeah, that might have been better play. Um, but I'm gonna play another one.
Nice.
Hmm. Well, that is a predicament. Oh, I gotta go through it. So
You just want to tag and a trace.
yeah, we'll do tag trace.
Do I want to boost the trace? I think I do not. Hold on, let me do a little math here.
This is a math situation for sure. So obviously I have the clicks to clear 2 tags, but
Mm-hmm.
whether I'll have the credits after I've run through a toll booth.
And then there's also the question of like exactly how powerful is that tag to me?
Right.
I think that I'm going to. Oh, I've already clicked the trace thing. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's quite a lot of boost. I think I'm taking the power counter, which is doesn't feel good at all, but I figure I need to get through that toll booth. So
Yeah. And then now, do I even res this toll booth?
if you don't res it, I'm gonna be very sad.
No, I'm not gonna res it.
Okay.
I want to save my money.
That's interesting. Okay. That becomes very interesting.
mean, this is certainly an example of what you were talking about with hidden information.
Right. Certainly is. Alright, given you have a power counter, there's not much point in me removing tags at this point. So I'm going to go get rid of your pad campaign. I feel like the tag punishment that would be really bad for me right now would be at closed accounts.
Speak of the devil.
There we go.
There we go.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, dirty laundry. Seems good.
Okay, so I have exactly enough money to get into server 3, so that's what we're going to try and do. We'll take the tag and the trace again.
And there you go. It
Well,
wasn't a lost cause after all.
But I don't know, do you feel like you could have waited there, Maxwell? Do you think-
Probably.
Could you have baited me into that server with something else?
I probably could have.
Yeah.
Yep. I definitely made my decision on the basis of a little bit of ignorance. I knew that I was not entirely aware of what your capabilities were,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I'm gonna guess that you probably can't pull it out.
Right.
In retrospect, actually, it wasn't even the right thing to do because you can just run, hit the toll booth. You can run with no credits, hit the toll booth, make me pay, and then I can't score the deal anyway.
Right, and also with 3 prepaid voice pads down, I can play any economy event that I draw. So, um,
Yeah.
well, with the exception of the short gamble. So I think I had 1 credit. Actually, I probably could have played it, yeah, because I had 1 credit to start the turn. I got another for drawing with Visage, so if I drew the short gamble at that point, I would have been able to play that as well. So, yeah, any economy card I drew.
Right.
Obviously, if I had drew the lucky find, that would have finished my turn. So drawing a dirty laundry or a short gamble got me into the remote.
Right.
So, there are.
Yeah. So those odds are what they are.
Yeah, they are what they are. There were 4 cards out of 20 in my stack, so it was like a 1 in 5 that I could draw a card that would get me into that remote.
But that doesn't mean that what I did was the right thing.
No.
And just as a point of reflection, even in a situation like this, a very casual game, I get some nerves and want to finish the game more than maybe I should. I want to try to rush out those last points, and that's just something I've been working on for a really long time. I mean, when in the kind of middle of Netrunner's history, I used to die a lot unnecessarily.
That's a very interesting point that you raise, actually, because I think I noticed that at certain times in my games as well, and it's because oftentimes you're dealing with hard situations and that can make you feel uncomfortable. That sometimes you rush yourselves into a decision just because you don't want to be in that difficult situation anymore,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and in rushing you often as we saw in that game perhaps make the incorrect choice. So another fascinating nuance of Netrunner that you need to kind of be comfortable with being uncomfortable at times.
Yeah. I'm also not convinced that this particular matchup is as dead as it might appear to be. I think that, given all things considered and, all, RNG craziness aside, there are solid lines of attack for Kate here, and you more or less pursued them.
Well, I think Mad Dash is a really good card. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
something that just kind of can be said very easily. That definitely helps. And obviously there's a huge amount of synergy there with indexing, but yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, maybe I would have committed more than just the Archangel to R&D.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's something I would consider, given that you're playing against a Shaper.
Yeah.
Archangel's a very strong piece of ice. It's a pain in the butt to break with Gordian, but a second piece of ice there, whatever it would be, an IP block, pretty much anything other than a resistor, which can be broken with Inti for 1 credit. Anything else is going to be annoying to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the second game. I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
make the room. All right, let's get started.
So you said this was a. Did you say this was a Desperado based Kate?
It is, yeah.
See, that's very interesting. So I'm interested to see how this goes, particularly against my very vanilla food coats build here. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna mulligan.
My opening hand's not the greatest, but I'm gonna keep it. What are you expecting out of this matchup?
Um, I'm actually expecting this to be a little bit tough
Hmm,
um, for for Kate. I mean, if it's a run-based Kate, food coats is not a great matchup because it's not like I'm going to be spamming out remotes.
sure.
But we'll see. I haven't got the greatest of opening hands, so maybe that's a thing.
I think both food coats and most shapers, mini shapers, are pretty no frills types of games. I mean, there's not like there's going to be like side game shenanigans. I'm not going to die randomly, at least I'm unlikely to.
I'm pretty confident in saying you're not going to die in this game. Although I did lose against Food Coast once because I brain damaged myself to death because I was just mindlessly running through R&D because my rig was in the bin. I didn't have enough money to do anything and just kept taking the brain damage off Itchy. And I would have lost the next turn anyway, but
Right.
just decided
Interesting.
brain damage death was more interesting.
So, an Adonis, huh?
Yeah, as I said, this is a very vanilla
Totally.
build.
I'd like to get rid of that Adonis, if possible.
Yeah,
Not
well,
possible right now.
that's some end the run ice right there.
Yeah. Let's go to HQ if we can. See if we
Yeah, I
can
think
pick up some points.
2 credits. That's fairly reasonable.
Cuff Lamb. There they are. And then we'll use Katie. I was a little worried about dropping the Parisha.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah, I
didn't
can.
have you didn't really have enough credits for something horribly scary, right? It wasn't going to be Fairchild 3.
Right. No, that makes sense.
I'm a bit behind on cards, so I'm going to draw, get paid to draw, not really get paid. And just money up for my turn.
It's totally fair. I'm going to install and take two because I am ETF, and that's what I do.
Yeah, it's really powerful. I'm going to start off by heading into HQ again.
It's my favorite friend. He's back.
Yeah, it's really good. Eli being on the first MWL, I'm going to go ahead and jack out. Mm, I'm gonna, I'm gonna draw and throw away this hunting grounds. You might have a toll booth. You might. But I don't think you have anything else. Eli stands out as a card on the most wanted list. I think Eli in APD, on the first one at least, as kind of one of the more mild effects to include in the game.
Right. Yeah, I would agree on that. And I think, it's been said many times on many places by now, but I think the general power of ice has gone up, and what with paperclip being
Mm-hmm.
ubiquitous, that Eli no longer needs to be on the MWL.
Yeah. Let's start off with a diesel. Let's drop this guy. Oh,
What's your general size strategy, Maxwell? Well, maybe tell me after we've done this.
yeah, it's so hard. I don't even think having a general strategy is really the best way to go. Um, I think when you're the runner, judging what the corp is going to do is really important. And so, especially if like if Caprice doesn't show up till the very end of the game, it kind of changes everything I'm about to say. But if she shows up early, then you kind of have to ask yourself, am I gonna, as the runner, like, am I just gonna make the corp pay over
Right.
and over again? And I'm gonna go back at server one, even though I've got a full grip,
No,
and
I
even
think
though it
that's
is costing me lady tokens.
I think that's fair.
I mean, this is potentially gonna turn into a score for you. Yeah, there we go.
So you got it.
Let's get rid of that crud. Ka-flam. I'm gonna drop this diesel, and I'm also gonna drop um, that. I don't know if that's right, but I threw it away anyway.
Could be right.
Ugh. I really think that's Breaker Bay. and something else problematic, so I'm gonna go try to get rid of it.
It's reasonable.
Go fliggity flam. Not gonna use Jackson, huh?
I'm not going to use Jackson. See, they printed this card called Friends in High Places.
Yeah, they did. You don't have to remind me. Do you think they've ever got they're ever going to have the option to run more power counter breakers?
I mean, I like the concept. You know, not all of them are good.
Yeah.
There have been some notable good ones. I mean, obviously, Lady is fantastic. David had its day, although I feel that, you know, in the age of Fairchild 3 and DNA Tracker, it's not quite as powerful as it used to be.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think they should do more power counter breakers. I just think they have to be very thoughtful about how they cost them, because, you know, the ability to break ice without spending credits, as we have seen, is incredibly powerful. So the costing does need to be thought about very carefully.
I think that the ability to break 2 subroutines per counter really elevated Lady in particular.
Right.
But the other ones seem to fall pretty flat. Rex, I think, the criminal decoder, saw play.
Well, I think the other issue, and, you know, this has been talked to death about, is, you know, Lady at base strength 3 versus the other ones
Right,
at base
absolutely.
strength 1. So
Let's I'm gonna run into HQ. I'm gonna use Lady for Eli.
okay.
Ravana?
I would say Ravana, but I assume you're going to click through that.
Yeah. Oof. I think I'll store money on Katie and drop this equivocation. This is definitely, we're in a very atypical world here, I think. With me at 6 points and you at nothing.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you know, you've had some good hits.
I'm curious what that upgrade is. Oof. Okay, great.
So I've just recently put this back in Foucault's builds because I feel like there's slightly less Yogg around than there was maybe a month ago.
Mm-hmm. Still a pretty frightening piece of ice, and you're gonna get me for a subroutine. I think I'll take pay 2 credits.
Okay.
But I'm gonna jack out here. And then pull all my Katie money and put down a Gordian Blade.
Seems good.
Oh my. How has the effect on severe adaptive barrier worked out for you?
It's very hit and miss. There are some matchups in which it's incredibly good,
Hmm.
and some less good. I mean, I would actually say this is a matchup where potentially, if I manage to drag this out a bit longer, that it could be pretty good, right? I'm going to be using this advanced assembly lines, by the way.
Absolutely.
Um, but because the ability to tax lady counters, for example,
Hmm.
is pretty good. But I like it because it's a hard end to run. You don't have a lot of those in HB. I like it because you tend to be building somewhat of, ice towers. So it gains strength as you add ice, and the ice doesn't need to be rezzed for it to gain. So you see that's gone up to strength 4. So it's not like the other piece of ice actually has to be rezzed. So I think that's quite good.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, there's an argument that maybe Bastion is just better because you get the immediate benefit. I'm not sure.
or
I mean,
rainbow perhaps. I don't know. Rainbow's a weird piece of ice.
right. I'm enjoying experimenting with it anyway. It's definitely a way to put it.
Have you been able to play any Terminal Directive yet?
I've not. I only picked up my copy on Monday, and I haven't even opened the box. The box was intimidating in
Oh
itself.
yeah,
I'm not going to raise the trace, so we'll just let you through here.
sweet.
But I will. Let's just see here.
Is that Ash? I bet that's Ash.
It's not actually, and I was just reading the text on equivocation, so I don't think my Chrysium grid here does anything. So.
Let's see what it says. No, equivocation
Oh,
is
it
a
is successful.
successful run.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll resident. Yeah. Sorry, I got a cat situation here.
What's a cat situation?
I don't know. They're creating chaos.
That's their thing, man.
It's what they do.
Painful to trash the Chrysium.
But I kind of feel like you're gonna
Yeah. What choice do I have?
wanna do that. Can you give me like 30 seconds? I
Yeah, go
apologize.
nuts.
The cat situation's gonna get worse.
You're gonna have to give us the story though. I'm not gonna let you.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to state for the record that cat situation is basically the best way you could describe whatever's going on. I don't even know what's going on, but I know that cat situation is the way to describe it.
So I just want to state for the record that this isn't any commentary on, the most important debate in Netrunner, which is Team Cat versus Team Dog. I'm totally agnostic over that. Um, but yeah, one of my cats is just a complete jerk, for want of a better word. So if she doesn't get fed, then everything goes to hell. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Gotcha. I'm gonna store money on Katie and drop this daily cast.
Seems okay. I'm gonna do this, which I should have done last turn, but I was
Yeah.
distracted by things.
You had a cat situation.
Yeah, that's 100% how it goes. All right. I'm gonna continue to build a nice turret over here.
And I haven't seen enough ice in my runs to really know what that's gonna be.
Right.
Alright, I'm gonna scavenge Lady. And then Dirty Laundry into HQ.
Seems reasonable.
I'll use clicks for Ravana.
Yep.
Oof. Oof.
There it is.
How many were in HQ?
2.
Yeah.
I drew a lot of agendas in general.
Gotcha.
Do you want to try that matchup again? Do you have?
Yeah, I think that we should. I think that we should.
Good.
Did you feed them?
Yeah.
I'll make a new table.
Cool.
You know, that turn of events where the corp just gets blown out from bad draws is definitely something that has got to be addressed.
Yeah, but I think
Moving
I think
forward.
you played it absolutely right in that you were aggressive early, right? That's one of the keys against ETF Glacier is to do that because it's important to get to 4 points early.
And the agenda density is such that you can kind of get a little unlucky on R&D as the runner. I wasn't getting anything out of R&D, even though I spent a lot of money in there, and was getting like equivocation and RDI stuff going on.
Right.
I'm just going to gain 2 credits, install Earthrise Hotel, and daily cast. Alright, I will... I'm not really sure here how to go. I think that given that we're both about to... Yeah, okay. I'm gonna draw 2. Oh, I goofed up.
What was your
Well, I was like,
what's
do I
that?
try to attack whatever this thing is? I don't really have enough money to probably. So we'll see what I'm able to accomplish. We'll see. I'll just try to build a board like you are, right? Like you're trying to like get money and resources, so I'll do that too.
I think that was the right decision. I mean, as you'll see now, this is this, right? So
Yeah.
I've had the money to trash it, so
Right.
could have been a bit of an issue.
I would have run into the ice. The ice would have been painful. Beth's gonna start triggering now. I'll gain a credit. Drop a daily cast. Drop a clone chip and a SACCon.
Necessary tech in the world of Scorpios, right?
Right? I've been running something similar to my Terminal Directive deck online, and I've just really been loving it. I haven't even been triggering the ability, the ID ability. It's just been I'm I'm Wayland. I have a 40 card deck and 15 influence. Feed me your tears, nerd.
So let me ask you a question as someone who's not played a lot with the Terminal Directive cards yet. How bananas is Hunter Seeker?
How bananas is it? It's good. When you're holding the turn that because it's a double and it costs 2 credits, and you probably went pretty broke to make them, because they're trying to steal an agenda, you probably went broke because you were trying to stop them.
Right.
It's a little bit awkward. It's way better when you're Scorpios and you can say, that breaker is gone. You don't get to play with that anymore. Or you have to reinstall it or whatever. But it's an awkward enough card to justify the power of it, I think. That could end up being totally wrong. One of the things that I've noticed about HB in particular is if they get one round of money, they look really, really rich, and that can make you think, as the runner, that the second round won't matter. But I think that the second round really is the more important round, the one that you really need to stop.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 18 credits is nothing with the cost of HB Ice, so I
Right,
completely
right.
agree with that.
I'll um I'll check out R&D.
Seems reasonable.
I'll click through that.
But hey, you got Beth, you got to click left, so
I know, right? What?
doesn't feel too bad.
Look at me. What will I do with it? I will. I mean, am I gonna draw? Am I gonna make a credit? Am I gonna run again? I'm probably not gonna run again. I'll draw. Okay, great. I drew another Beth. Perfect. Is that money or is that an agenda? I'm gonna check it out, see what it is.
Seems fair.
Okay, it's Caprice. Okay. Hmm. I'll click.
Nope. All right.
Okay, you got my credit. I'll draw again. I'll draw yet again. I'll drop both of those cards.
Yeah, seems both of them seem pretty dead in this matchup.
Yeah. They're nice to have in general, but... Alright, so you're going to get to score.
Nothing exciting.
Hey, 2 points is 2 points. Connection to server lost.
Yeah. I had that a moment ago. It says you reconnected.
Sweet. Okay.
I mean, Fairchild 2 is just a pain to break with anything other than Yogg. I mean,
Yeah. And it's got 3 subs. Good gravy. Okay, I'll do it. I'll get Gordian Blade.
okay. I feel okay about this exchange.
A lot of ice has become like this, where the corp and the runner pay more similar rates at the first exchange.
Right. It's very transactional.
Oof. Oof. Okay, alright. Still in this game. I'll draw again. I'll just gain a credit. And I'll drop this clot.
It's interesting that we're both incredibly poor right now, which is...
Yeah. You've got a lot of res dice though, and you can drop things behind 2 big pieces of ice. Maybe that's the wrong thing to do, but I really, I almost want you to have money, right?
Right.
And I don't want to sit
Yeah.
around and click for cards.
Makes some sense.
So you've Jacksoned, got a whole fresh batch of cards.
That is correct. I am also not going to mess around.
Interesting, why is that?
I don't know. I don't feel like I saw enough of your influence in the last game. I'm just not entirely confident that
That I don't have something nasty?
something nasty. I mean, obviously the chances of you having a room mill at 3 influence are pretty low, but
Right.
also you look at it another way. I've got an Adonis ticking down in my scoring server. It's going to take 3 turns. I'm probably not going to be drawing a huge amount or want to draw a huge amount in that time.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and mod out this Desperado. I'm going to dirty laundry on archives. I'm going to draw. And I'm going to put down this self-mod.
Shut down archives because
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay, we'll go into HQ this time. Barely squeak in.
So I'm interested in your rationale for that, given that it was like 2 turns ago I cleared with Jackson.
You know what? I didn't actually think that you cleared. I thought what you did is try to draw into agendas and throw back um, fluff.
Interesting. Okay.
What I thought, um, and maybe this is well. The reason I thought that is I kind of assumed that the worst thing for me happened, and I know that sometimes when I'm in a food coats when I'm playing as food coats, I get I just need agendas more than I need anything else.
Right. I mean, you're right in saying that there was probably an opportunity to score while you were very low on credits, but I was also pretty low on credits at that point.
Mm-hmm. I'll go ahead and gain 3.
Okay.
And I'll drop that, and I'll drop that. Looks like I gotta drop another card. Don't think I'm gonna fool around with that much.
So here's another question for you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously the SAC-Con Clot combo is pretty powerful and very obnoxious if you're trying to run fast advance. Have you been finding much fast advance in the current meta?
You know, I haven't. I haven't seen a lot of fast advance. What am I seeing a lot of? More glaciary type stuff like this. People fooling around with Jinteki Glacier too from time to time. I've got 5 clicks this time. I'm gonna do this. See what happens.
Seems pretty good.
Huh. Hmm. This may be the worst indexing of my entire life. I don't even really know how to think about this properly.
What cards do you not want me to have?
No, I mean none of them, and I don't want to get any of these cards. Wow, brutal.
Hmm. Interesting.
This game is so radically different than the first one.
Right. It's it really is. I mean, I think you were both more aggressive and more fortunate in your pulls in game one, and that's
Absolutely.
a huge difference.
Oh, oh, you just let me trash it, huh?
Yeah. I think Friends has made a huge difference the way that I use Jackson and HB.
Yeah, I can understand why.
I mean, both the ability to bring back Jackson using Friends, but also the fact that Friends recurs so many things that you'd otherwise want to recur using Jackson.
Hmm.
Um, it does make a huge difference. So speaking of ETF, have you seen many of these decks that are using Estelle Moon and then just spamming out like 20 remotes?
No, I haven't, but that sounds really strong.
I saw Kalimsha playing it on JNet and it did look ridiculously strong. I want to fool around with it myself. Because the thing about Estelle Moon is it's just a trash. It's not a click trash, so you can
Right.
trash when they're running on it, which is pretty powerful.
You can also do it to like block indexing.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty absurd because as you can imagine what the interaction is like with that and advanced assembly lines.
Yeah, seems real good.
Yeah,
And lateral growth and Jeeves and
yeah,
all that.
and Jeeves and the whole thing, and obviously you're playing free friends to just bring everything back, and it's also playing Lakshmi Smart Fabrics as well because you get like an absurd number of counters on Lakshmi, and they don't want to trash it because there's so many other assets that you need to
Right. It
trash.
doesn't
They
seem like the
just
biggest
ignore the Lakshmi.
doesn't seem like the biggest threat.
Yeah, which is saying something, right? Because that card is potentially pretty powerful. Also turns out that in that deck, team sponsorship is still a card as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have no comment on the amount of recursion that Friends enables. I mean, Netrunner is one of the few games where you have tutors that tutor for tutors, and recursion that recurs recursion.
right, right. That's a pretty good way of putting it. Um,
That's another thing that goes into making this game fun, is that when you think about a game like, say, Magic the Gathering, a lot of the rules here have just been thrown out, and any card, they can make any kind of card. And we've seen them do it, right? We've seen the Netrunner team just print stuff that makes your head, come out your ears.
right. Well, what's your favorite like out there card?
Ooh, my favorite out there card. I like I a lot of the stuff that I like is like advanceable cards that kind of do things with the advancement tokens. Allele Repression I think is a fun. That's neat. That's a neat card.
Yeah, that's a card I haven't seen for quite some time. So
Like since you opened the pack probably.
yeah. Well, I think a good Netrunner friend of both of ours, Colin, is quite the fan of Allele Repression.
Yeah.
So if he's listening, I'm challenging him to build another Allele Repression deck.
Let's see if I can get any juice here.
I found it very interesting how like indexing is now seems to be like the multi-access card of choice in Shaper by some distance, right?
Uh-huh.
Like it's always
Yeah.
a good card, but in the age of reduced agenda density, the Maker's Eye really doesn't cut it anymore.
No. And now we're getting this new one that's like access boatloads if you've got the
Yeah,
MU, you can
deep,
deep data
data,
mining. Yeah.
which I think is a cool card actually. I mean that speaking of interesting mechanics, digging more cards if you have more 3MU is both mechanically interesting and thematically interesting as well. I mean, I like
hmm
I don't know how good it is as a card, but I like it from a mechanics and theme standpoint.
It's well, it's phenomenal if you can just I'm gonna access 5 cards on my first click.
Right. It's also true. Yeah, don't leave R&D undefended.
What do you think is the between R&D and HQ, which is the one that you defend more at the very beginning of the game? If you can only defend one.
I think me it tends to be HQ, but that's just because I'm always so wary of strategies that revolve around account siphon. So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if you don't protect HQ adequately, unless you're very sure, and most shapers you can be pretty sure, but unless you're very sure they're not running siphon, vamp, something similar, then it doesn't really matter what else you do, because if you leave your HQ undefended, then you're not going to be able to defend anything else. So I always find myself prioritizing HQ over R&D unless I'm in this kind of matchup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know necessarily where you are. I mean, I've been siphoned by shapers before.
Right.
The worst is when you're like, I bet they don't have siphon, and you protect HQ, and then they siphon keyhole you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my particular favorite degenerate strategy.
Is siphon keyhole?
Yes.
It's really good.
I just find it also, and I've said this many times, it's just Keyhole is just the ultimate card for putting your opponent on tilt, particularly when you're playing in person and they have to shuffle their deck.
Yeah.
On JNet it's less bad because you just kind of click through it and you're just like, all right, well this is unpleasant. But in person, when you're having to shuffle, it's so obnoxious.
It is. I actually, in a tournament, somebody tried to slow roll me because they were like, no, you have to actually physically cut my deck after you keyhole me. They were trying to drag the game out and go to time.
Wow, that's a pretty cruddy tactic. Let's not name that person.
I, I, I was like, give me a break, guy. But I didn't take it too hard. Where the fridge are any agendas?
Well, that could be one in server one.
I mean, yeah, it could be.
Do you want to run for 4 deep remote into Caprice and find out?
No, I don't. Um, I don't even know what the last cards in my deck are. Not a good sign. Well, I know I'm going to do this.
I mean, if nothing else, this matchup has shown like what a good card, and we all notice, but what a good card Katie Jones is against HB, right? Like, where would you
Yeah,
be right now if you didn't have Katie?
I would be totally screwed. I don't know what they're going to replace Katie Jones with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, alrighty. I'll go ahead and run archives.
Okay. Press that just to make you do something about it.
Okay, go ahead and fire that.
Okay. What do I want to trash in this situation? What's a pain for you to reinstall? I suppose you got the SATCOM, so that's the.
Yeah.
All right, so it does not matter. So I'll do the Gordian, but you're going to save it. Second lady in the bin.
Yeah, and the Mad Dash. I think that's actually the more important hit.
I didn't see that because I didn't open the.
You
Yeah.
gonna Jackson?
Nope, I am not.
Oh boy. Ugh, nothing but nothing. All right, I'm going to install that and say how you like me now.
It's pretty good.
And I'm going to. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I hate to do it, but I'm gonna install that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna run R&D, and I will double click this Eli, and then click there.
Here comes the Crescent Grid again.
Yeah, Christian Grid. Hopefully Jackson will. Oh yes!
Nice.
I'm the best. I am so good. I'll get rid of Christian and be broke, essentially. My play in this game has really not been on point. There were a lot of lines of attack that I wasn't cognizant of because I was unaware of this deck's like true limits. I missed the Omen at 5, which would have let me hit R&D a lot more.
Right.
How much of Netrunner like has to be a card game in your mind?
Has to be a card game.
Yeah, I mean, is there any interesting game here that isn't a card game?
Uh, sure, I think so. I mean, I think so much of the theme is interesting that um, yeah, I don't think it has to be a card game at all. Um, how it's not going to happen, but how nuts would people go over some sort of Netrunner video game, right?
Yeah.
I think that would
Actually, a Netrunner video game or Netrunner-like video game is coming out. Cyberpunk 2029 or 39 or something like that.
you know what? Yeah, I've seen the some previews for that. So here we go. Bunch of garbage going back into R&D. Card going to server one and double advancing. So
Oh, fun.
your move, Mr. Pratt.
The moment of truth. Well, I've got 5 clicks.
There is perhaps no better feeling in ETF than top decking the food when you're on 4 points and have a large amount of credits.
All right, well, I'm not even gonna win. If I get this, I don't even win. That's so brutal. I can't. I actually hold on.
Yeah.
I I shouldn't run here, right?
I think your chances of stealing that agenda are small.
So low. They're so low. I'm gonna run R&D, and I'm gonna try to win on R&D.
Okay. I think that's fair.
I think that I've got a couple of good runs here, and then obviously this. Okay, Ash Chrysium.
So here's the question: how much do I want to boost the ashtrays by?
A lot, right?
I think
Or wait, hold on, hold on. No, not a lot.
some is the answer.
Some, yeah, it's
Not a lot.
some because I'm gonna try to come back and spend. I'm gonna try to spend 8 right now, which is gonna take me to 6.
It's just ashtrays not triggering.
Yeah, it didn't trigger.
It's annoying.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, alright, just waltz back in.
Okay, well, it didn't do it again.
Alright, so should we just kind of manually figure this out?
Yeah. Um,
Alright, so I'm
you can.
boosting
I think you can click Ash.
No, it's just saying derez.
Gotcha. So you can use a command for trace.
No.
Let's see where it says what it is. It's trace, no dash, and then a number.
And then a number. Alright, I'm with it.
Classic. Okay, so I'm not gonna boost, but I will pay 3 for Ash.
Okay, alright, I'll ditch him. Okay.
And then
Cool.
that will be that run. And now I'll run R&D again. Oof. Christian Grid, having to trash it twice is not
And
not where
again,
I'm
that's the
at.
power of friends in high places, right?
Yeah. Where can I even look for agendas here?
Um,
Basically
I
nowhere?
think your options are now
Dead.
nil, right? Because you can't get back into R&D.
Yeah.
So that is GG's.
Yeah.
So what? Just out of interest, because I don't think I've seen it. Do you have a sentry breaker in here?
I do, it's in my hand and it's a GS Strike 2.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes some sense.
I
Because you put the Ant-Man at 5, which obviously does a lot of work when you've got Ravana and Fairchild 3. But I was just like, what's the answer to Itchy one? But Shrike is an okay one.
probably clicks in the vast, vast majority of cases.
Yeah.
This
And it
game I
hasn't
think was a
happened.
lot more typical.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm honestly really surprised at how technically demanding this matchup is.
I think Food Coats is a deck with an incredibly high skill cap, and that's actually something that makes me perhaps slightly hesitant to play it.
Mm.
at regionals, mainly because A, it will be very taxing over a long day of Netrunner, and B,
Yeah.
people people see it a lot, right? So the really good players know how to play against it, and therefore, if you want to win with it, you've got to be even better than the really good players, which
Yeah.
is a lofty goal. So it's clearly powerful and rewards skillful play, but that has a downside as well. So
I if I think that this Desperado Kate deck has any place to move forward, it's gonna be with a political operative.
oh, absolutely, I think that's very very necessary, and you'd be amazed how much damage you can do with just one timed
Yeah.
at the moment. But I agree, yeah, political operative is necessary.
I think a political operative and a levy
Yeah.
are both pretty critical additions that I'm not currently running.
The card I've done a lot of damage with surprise factor with in my prepaid Kate, in addition to the political operative, is interdiction. Uh,
Yeah.
Dropping that at the right time because it's not always expected out of Shaper, I think is quite useful. It's twofold, right? Number one, if they haven't res their Caprice or their Ash, it can get you out of jail with that. Number two, if you play it in conjunction with indexing and they have an unres Jackson, then that stops them from messing around with that as well. So that's another suggestion I would have is more defensive upgrade tech.
It's interesting you mention interdiction because it's a card that just got completely overshadowed by Rumor Mill.
Right.
So much so that it blanked from my memory. Right, I was like, there's no longer a current that deals with those those upgrades, but interdiction does certainly.
Yeah, and it's just another example of how Rumor Mill was a totally unnecessary card, right? We had Poll Up, we had Councilman, add interdiction to that, and you have
And
many,
hacktivist meeting.
yeah, many complementary ways of dealing with Caprice, Ash, Batty, um, but
I think that Rumor Mill was not narrow enough. I think that all of the right, like just blanking cards. There's probably some interesting design elements in there, but hitting both upgrades and assets was probably too strong. That I
mm,
think is probably where the card went awry.
yeah,
And I think that it's really even more about like the upgrades, right? Blanking the unique upgrades because they
yeah, I,
do
I, I
such
agree. Yeah,
specific
the
things.
assets are less of a concern, and frankly, some of the assets it blanks, I'm reasonably happy about, like Sandberg and Jeeves. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
But no, you're right. It's the upgrades that really just made it too powerful.
I think even if it was just blank the unique upgrades, the non-regions, it would
Yeah,
have
it
been.
could have done one or the other. Absolutely.
Well, no, I think if it did that, I think if it hit upgrades, unique upgrade, I think if it hit unique upgrades, it would be too much.
Yeah, I think people would still be complaining about it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
As glad as I am that it's gone, it has breathed new life into Glacier.
Which was necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're all going to get sick of playing Caprice Psy games for a few months, but she'll be rotating soon enough. So
Then we'll
that
get to play him with Batty.
the Marcus Batty ones are way more fun, right? Because they can just outright win you the game at times. So
Yeah, the Batman is a bitter pill. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I had a really good time.
yeah,
I think that I learned a lot too. Playing really methodically like this allows you to introspect more than I necessarily would otherwise.
yeah, I would agree with you, and I'm sure we'll all hear on Slack about some of the horrible play mistakes we made, but
Sure.
have I have enjoyed the games. They've been a lot of fun, and I think fairly close as well, which is good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and have a good evening.